The fifth factor is the mind focus. I think somewhere in the book of Proverbs, the Bible says something that has to do with, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Why is that? Because our minds are the CPU of our lives. It is the CPU at the foundation of our life. What comes out of a man is it's a product of what's inside of him, what is within his mind. And now, how this factor in balancing our spiritual growth and all that is the reason why most people, for example, you see people who are always thinking about sex, love, marriage, is because they've allowed only those kind of content, erotic content on sex, content of love to erode their minds. They watch these movies, they watch these videos, they watch, whether it is skits or comedy, whatever. The more you watch most of these videos, the more it begins to have a hold in your mind. And once this begins to have a hold in your mind, it depletes the spiritual desire or the spiritual part of your mind, in the sense of that part of the mind that needs enough force to be able to control your spiritual possibility, or to be able to steer you towards spiritual desires and spiritual wants, begins to deplete. And the other begins to override, it begins to mature. So one of the things I do is, there are people who are spiritually on fire. There are people that are loaded with the grace of God is on their life. They carry this tangible presence of God. They carry this hunger of God within them that makes you, whenever you watch their videos, whenever you listen to their teachings, their message, it begins to make you want to love God more. It begins to make you want to, some of them are singers, like when you listen to their musics. So what I try to do is to find balance in what I allow to come into the mind, because we have what we call the gates of the mind. Through our sight, what we're able to see; through our ears, what we allow to hear; through taste, through smell, sense. All these are like gates of the major gates of the mind that by which we get sensory signals. We get these are what we call, like, I think there's these 5 parts of the senses, or whatever it is recalled to. But I'm talking about the mind now. The mind is one of the 4 contents of the soul, and the mind is where we think. The mind is where reason is done. So if you have lost your mind to the desires of the world alone, it will be hard for you to balance your spiritual work with God and what you're doing. So what I do is create an environment that will steer my mind in alignment with my spiritual desires, my spiritual goals. So you see where the balance between the time factor and the mind factor comes in. So I create an environment whereby I could literally have that time to be able to educate my mind, to be able to educate my mind on the things of God. In the things of God. So if all the things, so that if all your people you're listening to, people you admire, there are people who are atheists, they don't believe in God. Now, even if you go to church, the more you listen to these people's teaching, the more you read their content on social media, the more a part of them begins to come into you. Because Jesus said, the words I speak to you are spirit and life. So if the more you listen to somebody who is immoral, somebody who detests God, the more of immorality begins to set in your life, the more you will unconsciously begin to detest God without knowing. It's not about if what the person is saying makes sense or not. It's about the spirit behind the person's words, and this will automatically have a foothold on your mind. So when I'm very careful of who I listen to, whether the person is successful or not, I don't care. What matters is which spirit by which this person is speaking from, because I don't want someone who has a spirit that is not in alignment with my spiritual desires and ambitions to be able to speak into my mind, because I don't want them to have a foothold of my mind. So if you know how to manage what comes into the gates of your mind, into your mind, to make it to be spiritual aligned, it helps to gauge your thirst, helps to keep your hunger alive for God, and helps to keep you to live a balanced spiritual life between your business, your workplace, your family, and every single thing put together. It helps to keep your mind on God. Keep your mind on God, because the happenings of life could literally help make you forget easily about God. You could be so engrossed with daily activities and have less time to God. But when you're able to create this environment around you, you do this on purpose, what happens is that it brings your mind back to God. And if you check in the book of Isaiah 26, where it says, "That will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee." Are you struggling keeping your mind on God? This is just the key. This is just the key. The reason you're struggling is because 90% of the people around you, 90% of the kind of environments you contain or you control, either on social media, online, or physically, is not encouraging the mind of Christ within you. But when you have more people who have the mind of Christ and encourage the mind of Christ, what happens is that it tries to pick up this balance within you and puts you in a state that will help you not to go off course when it comes to working in your spiritual life, your spiritual journey, or working with God, and also working in business and in life as well. And I hope you learned something from this video too. God bless you.